Welcome to Glazed Over,
a podcast for business tips, painting tricks, and gabbing with friends.
We're your hosts, Ammie Williams
and Christine Steele, and we're so glad you're here. I am so excited because I get to start asking questions, and Louise gets to help me with bringing Ammie as our guest from Mayco Pottery Camp.
Woo!
I know, I'm excited to talk about it because I've never actually made it to a Mayco Pottery Camp. I've done their holiday camps, but I've not done a full pottery camp. So I'm relying on you to tell me exactly everything, how it happened chronologically and why it was amazing.
I can probably do that. Chronologically, I might get some things wrong, but I can tell you every little tidbit.
Personally, it's okay, I wasn't there. I won't know.
That's true.
I am so sad because I was supposed to go and something came up in my studio, so I wasn't able to. So I want to live through you right now. Like, tell me all the things.
We can do that. And we really missed you. So it was in Charleston, South Carolina. I drove. I don't know if you care about that, but
it moves, right? So sometimes it's in Texas, sometimes it's in Carolina.
Yeah, they kind of, most of the, well, I guess not most, but I think they try to pay attention to like East Coast, West Coast, middle, like trying to make it easy for, if you can't go one year, you can go the next year. And I have to like take a quick moment and just shout out the Mayco crew because it was so well organized. Like the team, they're just so kind and like whatever you need, they'll get it to you. And I felt like it went really smooth. And I just heard like a ton of good feedback about, how great it all was. So I did just want to shout them out because it was great. It was amazing. But yeah,
I heard how wonderful it was, and I heard how well put together it was, and that it is so nice because I heard it from a lot of different people. So like, they're not lying. Like that's, I'm so excited to go next time. And do they always announce it at convention for CCSA convention?
I think they announced the location. Okay. I think the dates maybe get put out there ahead of time, but I'm not really sure about it. That's a good question.
I know. I think the only sad news I saw related to it was that people were like, "Oh, I didn't even hear about it. I didn't have a chance to buy tickets." And I was like, "If you were a CCSA member, you heard about it before anybody else, so you kind of knew, set your clocks for when the tickets were on sale."
Yeah, it's tricky with these events like Ceramajam and Garefest and Mayco Pottery Camp. Like they can't take all the people that, convention can hold. So it's like, and while there were a lot of people there, I think there were over 100 people there. It, obviously not everybody got to go, which is a bummer.
Well, something I learned is those wait lists, get on them because I sold my ticket and there was people. So I don't want, if you are interested, make sure you get on the wait list always, because something always comes up. And whether it's, personal, like I couldn't step away from the studio for a little bit. There's always room. So if you can't get a ticket, and if you do find out last minute, get on the list because you're not going to miss out. Hopefully, but yeah.
And this event is really fun. I think a lot of events do this, but I know particularly Mayco, the night before the pottery camp starts, like there's always like a little cocktail hour like hosted at the hotel. So you get a like foot in the door of like seeing everyone again. Like for me, this is my first event of the year. I think for everybody, it's my first event of the year, but I'm teaching at it. I'm like, haven't seen anybody since convention where I was like super, super sick. And I feel like that didn't go really well because of how sick I was. So I was like, you get that like first day of school jitters a little bit. So the cocktail party is so nice that you're just kind of like, you walk in and you grab a drink and you're like, okay, these are my people. It is quite nice to be here. And no one's mad at me probably. I don't know. Maybe they are, but.
That's an anxious person's statement. Like
100%.
All the time.
100%. Yeah. And, yeah.
It's also great after the holidays. So what's nice about it is that we can all kind of look at each other and be like, we survived that. Like that.
Totally.
Too.
I really do think that was the vibe for sure of just like, now's time. Like I had some downtime, you know what I mean? And now we're here to learn and like have fun and see what we can do this year. So that was fun. But yeah, the event started bright and early. I haven't seen the sun come up in, quite a long time. So outside my hotel room, I was like, oh, okay, cool. Sunset. Sunrise. See, I can't even get the word right. I don't ever see it. Yeah, we started out really strong with, we did a project with Elizabeth, who is Colleen, who is like, the boss lady in charge at Mayco. Her daughter-in-law is one of the lead artists at Mayco. Her name's Elizabeth Carey. She's amazing. And we, with her, did these like the faceted vases that they have. We took jungle gems and elements and a little bit of stroke and coat and like layered it all. And I'm so excited to fire that. I haven't fired anything yet. I should have already done that. But it was nice because we applied it with a sponge, and I don't ever do jungle gems and elements that way. But she was showing us examples and like doing it with the sponge versus the brush. The colors were like so much more vibrant. It was crazy.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's immediate three coats just because your sponge is so thick.
Totally. And we ended up doing like, we did like 3 coats of everything, but and like layered, and we had cascades in there too. So it's going to like be drippy and stuff. Yeah. I wonder if I can put up a picture. I actually don't know. I'll need to ask Mayco if they'll let us.
Do you remember what elements you used?
No.
Oh, I just love, because Cascades works in such a unique way that some of the elements, like, for example, I'm going to remember it. There's a green one, Waterfall. Waterfall is like kind of matte on the top, but if you put Cascades on it, it goes completely glossy and it pulls a different color. So it's always fun to like put those 2 on a piece because you get like 4 different colors instead of the usual.
Yeah. And I do remember it was oyster shell, which is probably my favorite elements. And I love putting clear Cascades on those because you get this like, you get such a variety of colors that you wouldn't normally see with that one. And that was kind of translucent. So I like to play with that one with like designs underneath. I'm obsessed with those. So that was fun. And we got to like, go ahead.
We learned about oyster shell in a Mayco pottery camp that was virtual, and they did the encaustic design where they like, it was supposed to look like wax over your painting, and it was so amazing. That's when
I think I was in that pottery camp. Was that in 2020?
2021, I think. Look, it all runs together.
I know.
Nobody knows. I think it was January 2021, if I'm remembering correctly.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That is awesome. Okay, so who else you were there obviously teaching classes, which is, I am super sad that I missed that. What did you teach? I
taught on, because bisque, I'm there with Bisque Imports. So I'm using a piece from my bisque line with them. Yeah, I taught the hanging rainbow planter from my bisque line. And so just a peek behind the curtain a little bit, like when you're asked to teach at events like this, there is like a product in mind, basically. So the product that Mayco gave me was Spectaclear. I don't know if y'all use that in your studio.
Yes.
So it's like, it's basically their clear dipping base with like speckles in it. And fun fact, like Julia McNair invented it. She called Colleen one day and was like, I want this. And Colleen was like, great idea. And I mean, I think that's a testament to like Mayco as well, that they really listen to like when you need something. So there are 4 Spectaclears. There's peppermint, which is like red and green, perfect for Christmas. Julia says she like paints the back of her Christmas plates, every single one with that. So she doesn't have to like dip it basically, because you don't have to dip this.
Those handprint, prints that everyone makes too.
Yeah. And then there's Stardust, which is glittery, which I love that one. Celebration, which kind of looks like funfetti. And then I had Autumn, which is like orange, yellow, red, a little bit of brown, I think. And my goal with this project was to make it look like a fiber piece, because the speckles remind me of like sweaters in that way, where like when you knit it, it has this kind of speckly bits. So I did, stitches, like it was inspired by stitches. So we talked about different kind of stitches. There's one called a buttonhole stitch that I kept calling a butthole stitch over and over. So my bad for that. And it was fun. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. It's like, again, it's my first class of the year. So like I got done and I was like, oh, I forgot to mention this, and this, but I still had fun, and that's all that matters.
That's so awesome. Spectaclear is one of my favorite products, and to the point that I asked Krista at Studio Savvy if we could get a Spectaclear with every color of specs, because like sometimes I just want to use Blueberry Hill with white specs. Stardust is like so amazing because we use it for birthday parties because it can go over anything. It's just glitter.
Yeah, I like to use it actually as accents. I don't do 3 coats of anything, so like I'll do like firefly stuff and I'll like swipe it on. Then I'll still be able to clear glaze it, and it's not like too milky or anything. You just get like a hint of glitter. It's the best.
So who else was teaching? Because
So
I know perfect in mind that I know that everybody's in doing stuff. So like to
I'll get to those. Yes. So
yeah.
on the first day, it was Elizabeth and me, and actually Mimi Striplin, who Krista brought in. She is from Charleston. She has a store in Charleston. It's called the Tiny Tassel. And she basically gave a talk about like being a small business owner and like having a team and taking care of yourself. And it was really inspiring. I took a lot of good notes. Because sometimes I think you just need to hear it from somebody else. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think we all know that we need to rest, but when someone with a microphone is telling you, you should rest, you're like, oh yeah, I guess you should rest. So talked about like prioritizing me time and like keeping up with the momentum and stuff like that. It was sweet. I mean, she's like, God bless her. She's like 30 years old and she's built this like amazing business, and there's me like crotchety and tired and just like, ugh, that could not be me. But it's like, you know, it could, you know what I mean? If I actually tried. But so that was a great conversation, and that was right before lunch. So everybody got to go to her store right after the conversation. And she specializes in these like earrings and accessories and all that kind of stuff. So that was nice. Okay. I remember. Liz Martinez from Color Me Mine, she did an elements project with like these like flower dishes and all this kind of layering. Yes. They were two, actually. There's like a flower plate and a flower bowl, and stacked on top of each other. They look like they go together. And it was so fun. And it relies heavily on Mayco's, what do they call them? Like glaze combinations. I don't know if y'all ever use that in your studio or like in your personal stuff. You can go to their website and type in a certain glaze, and it will give you all of these like tested color combinations and tell you how to do it. And it's so helpful because I will find like a half a jar of something in my studio and be like, well, it's not really enough to do like a whole thing, but then if I mix it with this and that, and anyway, that was super fun. And that was the first day. So it was like jam packed. Yeah, we went until like 4 or something. And that night we went to a comedy show, an improv comedy show.
Oh, fun.
And it was so silly and fun. And it was just us, which was fun, because I feel like if we would have descended on this comedy shop or whatever, theater, like words are hard, and we would have been mixed with like normal people, I think everyone would have been like, what in the world? But they knew it was like just Pottery Camp, and they made all their pothead jokes and everything. And it was like audience participation. So we had, let's see, who went up there? Stacy Sparrow went up there. Melissa from Alabama went up there at Biscuits and Glazy. Melissa's made for improv, by the way. She could hold her own. Yeah. Jessie Sterling went up there. Oh my gosh, who else? Kristen.
That all sounds like a super cute. Like,
totally.
I'm so jealous of that too. That's so fun.
But I'll tell y'all the last thing they did. They were like, okay, we need 3 phones. Like, give us your phone. And you're going to have to be happy. Like, you're going to have to be okay with us reading your text messages. And like the amount of hands that went down when they said that was so real. I was like, But yeah. They got 3 phones from just the best sports out there. And they set up a scene where one person was just like the kind of straight man, and then 3 other people played characters, and they could only use dialogue that was text messages. And so the scene was like a bridal, what are they called? Oh my God. What do you do with your a bachelorette? My God, a bachelorette party. And there's like a stripper comes in, and then it's like the maid of honor and the mother-in-law, and they're reading texts like, I'm hungry, or like Leo quit, or like,
oh, that's so funny.
How's the weather? Like, I don't know. They just made it so funny, and that was really nice. And then we kind of split off on our own for dinner, and I somehow, next thing I know, I'm on top of a mechanical bull. I had not had that many drinks, but what can I say, rode a mechanical bull, and it is harder than it looks.
That is amazing.
You put that on like your stories or something, and I was cuddling on the couch with my husband, and I was like, look what I'm missing at Pottery Camp. He goes, You're not allowed to be friends with her anymore. She's too crazy.
Well,
No,
not to throw Susan Bucci under the bus, but we saw this thing and she was like, "Oh, I'm doing that," and she was like, "I don't know, it probably costs money. We probably won't do it." And as soon as the server was like, "No, it's free with your meal," she was like out of her chair, running over, and she did it first. So I will say she like, got out there and broke the seal for us. But Fern Westover. Is that her last name? I might have that wrong. She did the best of all of us. 16 seconds. I mean, it was incredible.
That is awesome. I love it because, so what I'm hearing, that this is the FOMO, what I missed out on is getting up early, which is, I don't like it, but that's fine. But yeah. you packed, there's so many awesome, classes, and it's not just about like, hey, use our material. It's like, let me teach you about some stuff, which is amazing. And then I love, so far what I've learned, like I said, I'm a little bit of a newer studio. What I've learned in these camps and stuff, it's not only just about let's make some projects. Mm-hmm. It's like, let's check in with your business too. And I love that. And then not only that, then you add on the camaraderie of everybody. And then you get to like, I love that they like, there's an activity and like, let's bond together, because there's just something about having a, I don't want to say just a sisterhood. So a sisterhood and brotherhood, siblinghood, whatever you want to call it, of the fact that like we get to look at each other and be like, hey, Christmas was awesome, but it was so exhausting. And like, employees are great, but also extremely difficult. And it's just so, and that's what I think like the, not only with CCSA, but like there's like the pottery world is amazing because we bring each other together, and we have, I just love it. And you have people that you're friends with online that you never get to meet until you get to go to one of these. And it's nice because it's like, you feel like it's just amazing. Like we've been best friends for so long, and it's just because of this industry. So it's just amazing to hear that, like, it sounds like Mayco really did well with bringing everybody together.
Totally. And like even during classes, in the conference hall, you're sitting at a table with, I think, 8 people total. And you're like, just like we talked about with the convention conversation, like a lot of the value of these things is sitting at the table and talking to these people that do exactly what you do and saying, this worked for us, this didn't work for us. Like, and even down to like the samples that were being painted, so much like conversation about like, oh, you paint this, I'll take a picture, we can both use it. You know what I mean? Like just stuff like that. It was really beautiful to see like everyone working together, because, not everybody's open like that. Not everybody's willing to share. And it was just nice to be around so many that were just like, yeah, we're truly in this together.
And it sounds like it's not for a new studio. It's not for an old studio. It could be for someone that thinks they're going to open up a studio.
Oh, totally.
And that's where it's just so neat. Like I love our.
Yeah. And especially Mayco's so big on education. And that's one thing I love about them, because you're getting a fun project, you're getting a fun event, but you're also learning like best practices, and you have the ear of so many people on the team. If one person can't answer your question, they can bring in one person that can. And so it was just really special, I think.
Awesome.
And then there's day 2. Day 2 is a big day. I didn't quite catch the sunrise that morning, because that like the second day when you're like, all right, it didn't actually take me that long to get ready. And anyway, this is not what you're asking, but we get in there, and this is where the order of things gets a little fuzzy for me. So we'll pretend like I'm exactly right here. And anyone that actually went to pottery camp, don't comment and tell me I'm wrong. So Bailey, who is an employee at Mayco, she is so cool. You guys would be obsessed with her. She like does sword fighting, and she plays the tuba, and she makes like leather goods and long hair, and her glasses glow in the dark. She's,
oh my gosh, I feel like I met CCSA. I feel like,
oh, probably. I love her. I would die for her. She's the best.
I feel like we talked about D&D for some reason.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. She's so fun. Oh, I'm sure she does. So she and Bree Hamburger got up and kind of like co-taught a class. So Bailey did a cobblestones project, which I'm so gay for cobblestones. I love cobblestones more than anything in the world. And the way she did, we like tinted it. Yes, we tinted the cobblestone and we used a lot of new Stroke and Coat colors, and it was like so fun, so simple. And I don't mean simple as like, I know, right? I don't mean simple as like rude, but like it looks more impressive than it is to do it. And while we were still painting, Bree got up and she did a conversation about clay that I'm sure was 10 out of 10. I was deeply painting at that point. And also I was sat at the table. I was sitting at the table with Jane Sterling from Hobby Ceramicraft in the UK. She's like a Mayco UK supplier, and she brought her friend Rachel. And so, you know, for 2 days, I'm practicing my British accent. I'm annoying them. I mean, they were such good sports about it. But I think during Bree's class, I was talking about jacket potatoes. Are y'all on TikTok at all?
Yes, a little bit.
So I'm on Jacket Potato Talk, where it's just British people making what we would call baked potatoes, but they call them jacket potatoes, and they make it, and they often put baked beans on top and cheese, and sometimes they put tuna, which is in their tuna salad. They put sweet corn, which I can't. I tried to get them to explain that to me during Bree's class. So that what I got out of Bree's class, sorry Bree, was that I have to try tuna salad on top of a baked potato.
I don't feel like that's correct.
Yeah, like, I'm not fully sold on that.
I'm a tuna girl, and like you said baked beans. Like what in the nicest way.
You know, they love that.
Do such a thing.
They're putting baked beans on top of everything over there, but it was fun. I do know that Bree answered a lot of good questions. I can remember that, and she had a lot of memes in her presentation, and I think that's what she would want everyone to remember.
Well, I would point out, when you say simple, I think that's something we're looking for our customers, though, because that means it's a little effort for a big wow. Mm-hmm. And that's the kind of project that we want. Where any age can do it. Grandma's going to be just as excited as like a 4-year-old. So I think simple doesn't mean anything like condescending. It's just, it's across the board. It's amazing. And I love that.
Yeah. And I can say, as a person that like develops these projects and gets up and teaches in front of people, I think when I was younger, I spent a long time being like, I have to have the most impressive technique, and I have to have something that is like, that you're going to learn, and there's going to be a lot of steps in here. And at the end of the day, that's just not going to work for 90% of customers. So that is a good kind of lesson to remember. Okay. Next up, we had the Michael Harbridge, who Michael hasn't taught a class that I have been around in a while. I don't think he taught at convention, right? He just had a booth. Okay. Yeah, Louise is shaking her head no. It's an audio medium, Louise.
Yeah, I think that's correct. I don't think he taught this convention.
Well, it's like, I just haven't seen him teach class in a long time, and it was so good. And like an old school painter like that, and I mean that with love, because he paints a different way than I paint. He's all about brush strokes and the brushes that you're using, and you can do this shape with this brush. And yeah, so we did stoneware with Michael, and he took us through a few of the brushes that because also Royal donated the brushes, which that was like worth the price of admission for me. And we did this like flower petal triple loading situation, and it was just like so good. Like we talked about, to peel back the curtain a little bit, we talked about stoneware yesterday. I am not always a person that is going to prioritize stoneware, because I don't want to switch up my schedule. Basically, like I like my routine, and I have a routine, and this project really made me feel like I should switch it up, because it was all stroke and coats. Like we didn't do any glaze that's going to run and ruin my shelf. It was just like all stroke and coats. So yeah, I was obsessed.
I think that bringing in some kind of design to a stoneware is just it's gonna help. That's just amazing. I am so jealous. That's all this is. This is Christine's green moment. That's fine.
The goal of this episode is to get everyone to go to all of the industry events that our suppliers give us. So that was great. And then we had Crafty Chica's class, which we did her peg dolls. So do y'all know what peg dolls are?
I didn't, but I also did.
Yeah, like I've seen them and I get the concept, but like, is there a cultural thing with that? Like a moment?
Yeah, I mean, so I'm watching them get like very popular online, but Kathy told us that they were like started in the Netherlands or something, which makes sense to me. But I think people see these pieces of bisque, these shapes, and they're like, because it doesn't immediately tell them what to do, they're like, oh, I'm out. And so doing it as a class was so fun because she gave, she had like 4 examples with her or something. And I watched everyone in that room do something different. I mean, we had like flapper girls. Bailey at Mayco did a dragon, tons of self-portraits, which were so cute. We had like Taylor Swift's, we had Travis Kelce's, we had a Patrick Mahomes, I think is his name. I don't really do the sports, but it was like so cute to walk up to people's tables and like look at their phone and they have this like picture pulled up of someone and then they're just like doing the cutest little version, and even one person, I forget her name, she's like, I'm not a painter. And so on one side of her peg doll, she did a snowman. So, 5 dots total. And then the other side, she did a ghost, which was just like 3 dots. I mean, it was like, so that way you have 2 sample, you have like the year covered basically.
That's awesome. And I love
so
that.
Fun.
That's what I saw so many videos afterwards. And that's why I was like, well, I think that's rude. So
yeah, and I was annoyed because I was like, man, if I had realized this, I would have in my shop opened up like custom Valentine's Day portraits and done like.
And that's why I'm like obsessed with the idea of doing one person on one side, one person on the other side, because you could do Taylor Swift and Travis on the other side,
lots
or
of
like
those.
a couple.
Yeah,
that's so cute.
The best part is you could do that as a date night, and then
totally.
if you can just break it. So
exactly, or like a weird hard voodoo doll. I mean, voodoo doll is still a voodoo doll.
Yes.
I love that we took something beautiful into
right. Yeah, Kathy's probably like, why are you telling people this? But yeah, it was.
What if she's
loved it.
What if she's like, that's what was always intended? And I couldn't say it.
There's not a negative bone in Kathy's body, so I highly doubt. I highly doubt.
I love her so much, and I think that I'm sure she gave you guys all the confidence to try something new too.
Oh, totally.
I love that, and she's probably one of the ones that I fangirled about, because I knew her from doing craft stuff on Pinterest and like all that before I even got into the ceramic.
Wow.
And I remember being like, she's one of us? Like, what? And then like I met her, and then it was so funny. Pepper actually at convention made me get a picture with her, and I was like, it's fine, it's no big deal. But I'm also like, so yeah, she's so sweet.
She is the nicest person on the planet. It's disgusting.
Yeah, that's amazing.
And it's all genuine. Like we can fake it forever, but Kathy, like, I think I've seen her mad like once, and it was still the cutest thing you've ever seen. It was like, ooh, her voice.
Yeah, she is very sweet, and I definitely that's awesome. You guys had, I mean, including Ammie yourself, you guys had some really cool instructors and everything. That's awesome, and I love that. I just love that.
Yeah, and then our last class, actually, I can't believe we're already at the end of the day, was another stoneware class, and this was with Carmen. So Carmen Allen has worked at Mayco for a while, and she's like a super genius in the clay and stoneware world, and like her knowledge is out of this world. Like I'm just obsessed, and it's because she's a potter, so she's like gets firsthand, hand at all these glazes, and she taught like a different version of the peacock technique, which is something that I, has been kind of floating around for the past few years. And I think we see the same version of it a lot. And so this one was a little bit different, a little, I think, less complicated. I mean, I'm the type of person who like can't quite hang during a peacock technique because you're like, you got to do this and you got to do this and this and this. And I'm like a little glazed over, and, and yeah, it was great. It was like very straightforward, and the results are obviously beautiful. She talked a lot about glazes, and that was it. And then, in true like conference fashion, they're like, don't leave a single bottle of glaze on the table. So we all took glazes home, and I mean, there's like a 50-pound box in the back of my car right now of just like glazes that will last me, a very small studio, like quite some time. So I'm very grateful for that. And it was just, it was great. I went out to dinner with some friends afterwards and had that kind of like, you like breathe a sigh of relief when it's all over, and it was really nice.
And I love that, like, so it's 2 days.
Mm-hmm.
And the best part is that, I something that someone told me before is don't leave that second day. Like give yourself, an extra day to like talk to everyone, kind of get to like do a recap. And cause that's just that someone told me that, and it was a great advice, because that way then you're not like rushing out the door.
Mm-hmm.
We all know that we want to get back to our studios or our families, probably the studios over the families or our pets. But I feel that like you want that time to be, in with others. Like it is not just about the projects and everything. And you get a chance to like talk to your distributors too. Like you spend a little extra time.
Yeah, that decompression, I think, after a conference is so important, because you like, I think about it too, like on the drive home or the flight home, you're like, you have all these questions, and I think you can like speed up that process, that like planning process, if you're sitting at a table, at a French restaurant named Felix, drinking a stunning martini and like, looking around and being like, oh yeah, I want to do this. Like, how's that work for you? So, I know I got like a very valuable pep talk at dinner that I would not have gotten if I didn't stick around for that last after bit.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I know another advice that I got, or I could even bring a notebook.
Yes. Oh,
bring a notebook. If you go to dinner, bring a notebook. Make sure you have, or have something in your phone if you're more techie than I am, because you want to make sure you're going to hear something that's going to trigger you. Yeah, you're going to hear it's going to trigger you, and you're going to want to take it home.
And you won't remember. You think you'll remember, you won't.
Oh, no. And it's just, and it's so nice, because I feel like all of these, conventions, camps, all the things, all it does is it just ignites your heart, and it gets you ready to take on, what's next. And it's that, I think that's awesome. Or you don't even have to do what's next. You can just refine what you're doing now. That way, then you're just more successful. And that's when it comes down to it, any of these things is so that we're successful, which I love.
Totally. Yeah. Mayco wants you to succeed. Mm-hmm. I'm putting words in their mouth, but they want you to succeed, because then they'll succeed. And, it's like, so they'll do everything they can for you. Also same with Bisque Imports, also same with Garrett, obviously.
All in places.
Yeah. So it was really nice. I was really happy about it, and felt very like filled, like what do they say? Like my spoons were filled, or my, there's all those. Yeah. Well, there's a thing called spoons. Like you have spoons. You've never heard of that? Now I'm like, am I the crazy one?
No, you're not crazy. I know spoon theory.
Okay, good. Louise can probably explain it better than me, because I'm just like spoons.
So let's say you start the day with 10 spoons. And you use 2 spoons to take a shower, and 3 spoons to answer the phone, and 2 spoons to get dressed, and 1 spoon to get to work. And then you only have 2 spoons for the rest of the day. So the idea is like, you need to refill what you use. And some people, everybody starts with 10 spoons, but it takes people different amount of spoons to do different tasks.
I gotcha. Okay. So that makes sense. I like that.
And I have to say, I got a lot of people were like, I'm listening to the podcast. I need more episodes. I'm really enjoying it. It was really sweet. So I was sort of like, really?
You know what would be even better is if people like clicked subscribe, or like if they were listening or downloaded them, so we could like see the numbers.
Yeah.
But, like, any way we get it, we'll take praise.
Yeah. Well, also leave a review here too, like wherever you're listening to it, because that always helps. It gives us
it really matters.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. That's cool. I actually, when I see people posting in chatter about it, I'm like, oh, like, I was just like, I'm sorry, but also good, but also I'm so sorry.
It is totally that fear of like, oh, someone's listening. Like, and then when someone's listening, it's like, that is different. That is like me on my Instagram stories when you realize like someone's watching. It's like, oh.
That's fine though. I love that though. That's awesome. And
it's great.
So they limit to how many people for the camp?
Oh, no idea.
I think it's 150. I feel like that's what I remember. But
I know that I sent like about 100 stickers, and they ran out of some of them. So I know there's at least 100 people there. but it doesn't feel like too huge, which is nice. You said something about convention that sometimes it can feel overwhelming because there's just people everywhere, but like we're all kind of sitting in this conference hall and it doesn't feel too bad.
And I think that the other thing is that Mayco does a great job with they're more of a family run business. Is that fair to like kind of, but they also they invite you into their family.
Totally.
They're really good at making you feel that like you can go up and be like, hey, I have this really crazy idea. And that's really cool for the business that like, there's not a lot of places you can't go up to Walmart and be like, hey, I have an awesome idea. You should try. And they're going to be like,
well, and even on the first project, like we tested, they put out Roll a Coat, which was an old product like forever ago, but then they've kind of reformulated it. And we needed it for the vase. We could have thinned down foundations and whatever and done it all ourselves, but they made it for us. And Colleen was like, hey, do you want this? Like if you like it and if you think your studio will use it, like genuinely tell me, because then we'll start making it again. So it's like she truly cares. And it's so inspiring to see like a woman at the helm, like doing the damn thing, like, and she brought her whole family, like her sons, grandkids. Like I was sitting beside one of her grandchildren and it was like she was in between me and Michael and we were just kind of like tag team, like helping her paint, and it was just fun, like it was sweet.
That's awesome. I'm definitely jealous. And I love that is something that they offer, and that's awesome. It's really cool. And there's so many different camps that you see going on, and it's not like sign up, do the things.
Yeah, definitely do them. I mean, even like, this is probably a crazy thing to say and y'all might disagree, but like, even if you don't use that glaze line or you don't use a lot of that person's bisque, like they're putting these on so you can test drive it or you can learn. And it's just so valuable.
Yeah, absolutely.
We went to, I totally agree with that. We went to Mayco's holiday camp back in 2019, and there were at least 2 or 3 studios there that used Gair. And they were like, I'm so glad I came because I didn't know that this product could exist or that this product would work with what I already have. So they like took some things home and implemented a Mayco product with their Gair paints, their Gair glazes, so that they can like have more variety.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, it's just cool. Like it really makes you look around and be like, I love this weird little industry that it's not little, but this weird, huge industry that we're in and the people that are there. It's nice.
Absolutely. I love that. And I'm jealous. If I haven't mentioned that.
No, I don't think you have.
It's so good. I'm going to have to bring it up one more time. I definitely, and I think that the other thing is that even in this moment I know that you want to put your studio first and you're questioning, is this worth it? And I know that, financially sometimes traveling, is hard. We have, the camps are all over. We have people coming from the UK over here. Like that is amazing. And I know the price of the ticket, I think is it taboo to say that, or?
I don't know what it was, so I can't answer that.
The price of the ticket was $150. So all the things that you have won
That's
over,
crazy.
$150.
Yeah.
And then if you think about the hotel,
in the grand scheme of things, yes.
Yeah. The traveling. Now I know cost of traveling is higher right now, but you can drive. And if you drive, the best thing is you can take more things back. So, and in tag team somebody else to drive, like, if you're driving through Virginia, it'd be like, hey,
totally.
Here, like, can we go, like, in roommate, I know I said that during the convention, episode, but get a roommate. You don't have to, but if you want to cut down costs, there's a lot of different things that you can do. And it's totally worth it in the end, because you get all this knowledge and it's networking and it's so much more than here's a project guide. So
totally. Yeah. It's continuing education. What I mean? It's like you can sit alone in a room for a year me. And you won't make it as further if than if you went out and like had a conversation with somebody about how to do that. So yeah, it was great. Highly recommend. Everyone go to all the things. Next up, we have Ceramajam in March. Will I see either one of you there?
I don't think.
No, because it's the same days as Inseca, and I'm going to Inseca with the
I
board.
see. There you go.
I will get my little green hat and I will episode on each of those things that you guys are talking about.
Yeah, I know that'll be. I'll be jealous for Inseca. I'll be jealous for you getting to stay home. I'll be jealous for all that stuff. But
I know I've considered driving down just to say hi to you and annoy you the day after, but I don't know.
Come on down. I don't know how far that is for you.
Where's that?
Oh, Inseca's in Richmond, so I'm driving. This is like so much information you don't need to know, but I'm driving to Baltimore to see my parents, and then driving down to Richmond for Inseca, and then driving to you is another 6 hours.
Oh my God, that's not worth it. To see me at least. It's at Belmont, North Carolina, at Bisque Imports. So you get to go there, and they have an amazing facility that they've kind of built out. It's an old factory that they're in. Don't ask me what kind it was.
Really is awesome. Yeah, I went for Studio Savvy, and it's a great little event space. Not little, it's a great event space, and
it's huge. Yeah,
just the way that they put on the situation was really great.
I might have to start looking at if anybody sells her ticket, because I'm sure it's out. So maybe I'll get on.
I get on the wait list. Exactly. I would really try to go. I mean, not just because I'm going to be there, not just because Kathy's going to be there, and other amazing people, but it's even like it feels. It's probably a little bit smaller than Pottery Camp, and so you're really getting the time, and you're really getting like FaceTime with people that you maybe don't get to see that often, and everybody at Bisque Import. So I would definitely try to go to that. But yeah,
I think going to like the customer service, I would like just to hug Felicia. I feel like that's like and Liz, they're amazing. I just love them. I think that
and it's sweet. Like DJ will bring everybody down into the event space and kind of shout them out, and you get to see them, and you're like, oh, cool. These are people. They're not just like a name on a screen. So I think that's really great.
Well,
it is awesome. When we went for Studio Savvy, Krista was like sitting off the side table during lunch, and I was like, why don't you just come sit with us? Like, you look like you're like sad and alone. So she came to sit at my table, and then everyone else came to my table because Krista was sitting at my table. And then DJ sat down with us. So we had this whole table of celebrities, and I was just like, I brought these people all together today for you. You're welcome.
That's so funny.
Yeah, like 14 years ago or something, I went to Glassorama, which is a fused glass thing they used to do there at Bisque Imports. And I was like new. I was by myself. My bosses had sent me, and we're like eating lunch. And this guy sits down beside me, and he's like, so what's up? Like, where are you from? What do you do? And I was like, I'm going to have to talk to this man. I don't want to talk to this man. And like in the middle of the conversation, he's like, oh, I'm DJ. And I was like, oh God, I didn't know. So anyway, hopefully he doesn't remember that.
That is so funny.
He definitely does, and he thinks it's cute.
That's so cute.
So yeah.
I appreciate you bringing all of the Mayco information here, so that way then it just makes me very jealous. But also a little shout out to Mayco for doing such an amazing. I'm telling you, I've seen so many studios post about how they have felt energized for all these things, and I think it's a beautiful community, and I'm really happy to be a part of it, and to have such wonderful businesses like Mayco that cares about us and educates us. So thank you for that little moment. That's the wrap up for tonight. Is pretty much just thank you for, and also for the visual of Ammie being on a bowl. Thank you for that.
I'll give you a tip.
It's such a good wrap up that I need to ask my last 2 questions.
Go ahead. No, let's do it.
I mean,
Ammie, did you use any new products that you'll be using again? Was there anything new that you'd never used before that you're like, oh, I'm definitely going to use this again?
I mean, I'm a Mayco girly through and through. So no, there was not a product that was new to me, but I will say I will do the sponging of the elements and the jungle gems and the stroke and coat on a vertical surface, because that was like, it's so satisfying. So I will do that. Yeah. Not necessarily a product. I mean, definitely using those products, but a new way to use the products. And tinting cobblestone.
And then, I love tinting cobblestone. That was a new thing that I learned just recently too. So that's a good one. And then if the Kardashians have taught us nothing, they've taught us to do the peak and pit after every good event. You talk about the best thing and the worst thing. So I'm not saying like the best thing and worst thing makeup wise, because it was all great. I'm saying like waking up early, getting something stuck in your teeth. Like, what was best and worst of the 2 days they were there?
The best thing, you know, outside of every good thing we've said about the camp and the learning and everything, the best thing was truly that Tuesday night after everything was over, sitting down with a smaller group and having a dirty gin martini and a steak and just being so happy. And then I would say the pit would be that when I got on the bull, the mechanical bull, the operator was this like, you know, guy in his 20s who did not care if I lived or died. And if you don't care if I live or die, then I go in even harder and try to make you care if I live or die. And he was just simply not having it. And I think because I maybe was probably being annoying, I like to think that he made the bull buck a little bit harder. So my tip is just to really leave the bull driver alone.
That's so funny.
I feel like it's one or the other. Like, he either didn't care that you lived or died, or he had a vendetta against you. There's no in between.
Yeah, I mean, like, who knows? I mean, when I walk into a room, I kind of look around and I think like, okay, who here could be in love with me? And he certainly was not it, though I did try to get him there, and he didn't care.
That's so funny. My grandma always, after something like that, she's always like, he's not getting a Christmas card.
Love that.
Too, of like, he's off my list kind of thing.
I'm about to bring that energy into 2024 so hard. Yeah.
I love that. That's awesome.
So yeah, thanks for letting me talk about this for what's almost an hour.
Yeah.
It was great. And let's do it again soon.
I love it. I can't wait to hear recaps of the next camps and everything that you guys are doing. And I will be sitting here. Hopefully I'll go to Ceramic Jam. We'll see what happens. But
yeah, I'm gonna manifest you being at Ceramic Jam.
All right.
It's my manifest face.
I like it. Yeah. I really wish everyone else could see that. That was perfect.
Nice. Well, Louise, let's bring her home.
We had such a great time today on Glazed Over talking to Ammie Williams, our guest for the day, about her time at Mayco Pottery Camp. If you want to learn more about these fun events, you can check out Mayco's website, which is going to have to be in
MaycoColors.com.
MaycoColors.com. Thank you. I didn't have my notes in front of me. MaycoColors.com, where you can hear about all their events firsthand, sign up for their email list, and maybe put a face to the name of all the people we've mentioned. If you have any questions about the CCSA, we're at CCSAonline.com.
Woo, figure it out. See you guys.
Glazed Over is brought to you by the CCSA, the Contemporary Ceramic Studios Association. Thank you to our moderators, Ammie Williams and Christine Steele. Executive production by Louise Blazucki. Learn more about the CCSA at CCSAonline.com.